Welcome, Jeff and Dave Wingard. Nice to
Good
have you.
afternoon.
Hey, Jenny.
Hello, Randy.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Jeff, have you counted up all the different Zooms and meetings that you've been talking to your computer versus in person?
No, I gave that up. I gave that up.
Yeah.
It's just, it's amazing. And I think everybody thinks also you can just stack them right on top of the other because you don't have to have any time to go between meeting rooms.
Yeah. Yep, here too.
I did a presentation for an Iowa State, it's the Iowa Collegiate Corn Growers Club last night because MIAI is a sponsor of that organization because one of our past interns is an officer. So I got to do something I've never done, which is do a PowerPoint presentation using WebEx last night. That was doing the PowerPoint wasn't a problem, but it was, okay, how does WebEx differ from from Zoom? And the challenge was the feedback in the students' meeting room was so bad, they had to be on mute the whole time just because otherwise the reverberation of my talking, because it was being broadcast in the room.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to, join the meetings now, various formats.
Mr. Titus, it's been a long time.
It certainly has.
Yeah, just, the simple things of life, having, sitting down, drinking a pint of something together is it's one of those things that I really look forward to again.
Yeah, me too. I don't care for any part of this that's been going on, but it's the way it is for now. So,
Yep.
Hello, friends.
Hello, how are you, Jason?
Good. How's Jenny?
Doing well.
Marijuana license for Joplin will be open for business in December
Cool.
or January, on the heels of those who have opened in the past few days in St. Louis.
Where do we get some?
Aldrich?
No, I mean like Humansville's got a dispensary that's going in. I think Bolivar had one.
Are you zooming?
Yeah.
You're on
No,
there?
I am, yeah,
Where's your face?
I'm not in there. I don't have my camera on.
Oh. Who are all these people?
They're all insurance people from Iowa. The Iowa sponsored webinar
How come you're not there? How come your face ain't up there?
because I don't have my camera turned on.
I want you.
I don't want to.
This guy's really worried about us.
Camera. Let's make sure he gets his best picture and his best angle.
You got the Mario thing, right? I got the Mario thing.
Right.
Joe said he's split, half on it. She's like, I said, oh my God, he's gonna be so happy. He talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
And then Joe says, he's like, Jensen's like, every day when I go to Grandma's, I can play the new game.
Okay, I'm going to give this one more minute just because we tend to get a flurry of people right on the hour. If that's okay with you, Randy.
Living in your world, Jenny.
Okay, I have 1 minute after 1 and nobody's in the waiting room. So I think we will get started. I would ask if everyone would mute yourself except when you're going to ask a question. So we minimize background noise and reverberations and whatnot. Thank you for joining us today. It is our privilege to have, if the slide will advance, first we're going to have a message from one of our associate members.
And improve the customer experience. Invoice Cloud provides an industry-leading online payment solution that consistently engages policyholders to deliver positive results. With our true SaaS solution, your organization can quickly respond to heightened customer expectations by capitalizing on your most frequent engagement point, premium payments. We make payments easy through omni-channel payment options that let your policyholders pay when, how, and where they want. Our simple-to-use, engaging interface improves policyholder satisfaction, and our strong partner ecosystem enables us to integrate seamlessly with your core billing software. But don't just take our word for it. We have over 100 insurance clients that have seen real results, like 2 to 3 times as many e-payments in the first year, 60% decreases in annual call volume, and customer satisfaction ratings that are over 95% positive. With Invoice Cloud, you can do more than just collect premiums. You can collect happy customers. Find out more at invoicecloud.com.
Our speaker today is Randy Druvenga. He was appointed president of First Maxfield Mutual Insurance in December of 2006. Randy had previously served as a field claims representative with the company since 1997. He has served on the MIAI Legislative and Prime Committees, MIAI Board of Directors, NAMIC Farm Mutual Conference Board, and served as MIAI's president in 2016. He has his PFMM and is a member of the NAMIC Merit Society. Randy serves on the board of directors of Grinnell Mutual Reinsurance and just completed his year as chair of the NAMIC Board of Directors. Randy received an associate's degree from Hawkeye School of Technology in Waterloo, Iowa, and this year he added videography performance to his list of skills. Help me welcome Randy Druvenga.
If you build it, you will come.
Hey, Illinois. Well, this is different. Thought I'd try something different because, quite honestly, I'm probably like you. We're getting a little tired of the same old stuff. Great to be with you, even though it's virtually. I'd prefer to be there, shaking hands, giving hugs, having a cocktail or a sip of something with you. Not meant to be this year. Kudos to you for making the right choices. Kudos to you for continuing on making the best of it, whether it's virtual. It's best we probably not gather in person. I'd like to thank the leadership of the Illinois Association. You guys have done nice job in putting this together. My last state association meeting, believe it or not, was in February. Minot, North Dakota, of all places. It kind of was nothing against Minot in February, but I prefer to have ended in Boston with you together in September of this year. It's not going to happen. Life is what we make of it. No matter what comes our way, you've heard me say that before, that we get to choose how we handle this situation. And I'm at a site where one of the quotes that I read, and you'll hear some noise behind me, but when you believe the impossible, the incredible can come true. And I believe that. Certainly do. Our our offices have been challenged this year. We've had to find new ways of conducting business, keeping our offices safe and healthy so we can continue to service the insureds who rely upon us. It's been a priority. Our office is locked down for the most part, our own office. We are in person, and the ongoing challenge that I share with them is do not break the circle of trust.
Yeah. But that's okay if somebody calls. I'm not on camera or anything, so if somebody needs me, no big deal.
Business. It's been good. This year more than ever, since we can't travel and do in-person meetings, the work that you have done prior to this year, especially with your CCP trips and your trips to Washington, you've always had a strong contingency. In fact, being involved with Iowa, I kind of followed your footsteps as to how you have done some things, and it's paid off. And I thank you for the commitment that you had in traveling to DC in the past and building those relationships. While I didn't get to travel and do some of the fun things this year that's associated with being chairman of NAMIC, what I did do is get to firsthand, I got to witness how NAMIC and the relationships that they've established along with the state associations, how that has continued to serve the policyholders who entrust their properties with us. That foundation of building those relationships have served us all well. NAMIC has done well as an association. Never before have I, in my years in being involved with NAMIC, have I seen, okay, this is, when it hits the fan, this is really what NAMIC does. And it protects the insurance and our mutual insurance industry. I have been able to travel, and I talk about the foundation and how do our mutuals continually strive and move forward. The mutual I represent, First Maxfield, was established in 1860. The highlights of my year before COVID hit was I was invited to the Assurance Society of Virginia's 225th celebration, an incredible history. And when you look at their website, it isn't anything different. It's always been the same. People taking care of people is the foundation. The mutual world that we're all involved in. It's a great business philosophy. You're hearing a few clicks there. I have just a little bit. I can't bring you here, obviously. It's been great for us to take a road trip, bus trip. It was a nice Sunday afternoon. So I jumped in the car, took the top off, and traveled to a place from a let's see if you guys recognize any of this at all. I was not famous for a whole lot, but there is a house there that is quite famous. And there is a baseball field here that's quite famous. And you can see the puffy white clouds there as well. Yep, I'm at the 1989 movie site, Field of Dreams. It's where one of my favorite movies, I know it's many of yours, baseball people out there, but it seemed like a good place to come this time. I was drawn to this because I like just dreams. Our dreams should not be interrupted, should not be put on hold. We get to decide, we get to choose about what kind of memories we make through this time, what kind of advances do we make. I would like to look back on the year 2020 as this is the year that we incorporated change. We were forced to, but these are the advances that we made to better serve the insureds that we represent. Educational opportunities such as this are part of it. One of my favorite lines here was, and I can't tell you the actor's name, I too am getting older, but he says, "Hey rookie, what are you doing standing on the sidelines? You can't be on the sidelines and play ball." Folks, this is a time forever, as there ever was, to step up, get involved, stay involved in your association. Sometimes when things aren't going as we wish them to, we tend to draw in. I've learned that it's a time, both professionally and personally, incorporate others. The value of surrounding yourself with involved people will always serve you well. One of the last quotes on here, I'll go back to I said it earlier, when you believe the impossible, the incredible comes true. Guys, hang in there. Have a great day. Have a great finish to the year. Have a great conference. Learn from each other. Draw from each other. Support one another for the greater good. My best to each of you. Thank you. Enjoy.
Is this heaven? It's Iowa. Iowa? It's heaven.
Hey, Lindsay, send this to Shannon. Hi. How you guys doing from Iowa? Send me to Minot, North Dakota in February. This is what you get. Just telling you. The best. You want me to shoot another video for Wisconsin? Screw you guys. Yeah, give me a plane ticket to someplace else. Minot, North Dakota in February.
So welcome, Randy Druvenga.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everyone. Never lose your sense of humor. And that was a little bit of an inside joke that was on with Shannon as essentially the coordinator of NAMIC, that when you're chairman, you got to have a go-to person. And Shannon is that person that keeps you organized, sets schedules for you, communicates very, very well. Lindsay is a speechwriter that worked with me all year. And so that last little video was just having a fun shot back at them, because the ongoing joke was my last trip that they organized was to Minot, North Dakota in February, which was quite memorable, so to speak. Thanks for having me today. Questions pop up, interrupt. You know, I don't have a planned speech here. Really, this is kind of an open forum. I thought about what would be the first and biggest question that I would ask myself if I were you, and it was how in the heck did Druvenga become chairman of NAMIC? Because that's something I wondered myself throughout the course of the year, in the years leading up to it quite often. Very honestly, when I was asked to give it consideration, it was very clear that me being asked was also a reflection of on the Mutual Insurance Association of Iowa, the history that we have, how we operate in Iowa, and was generally a overall respect for Iowa and looking for a representative from Iowa. And I happened to be that person at that time. And, you know, it was interesting, as my year to be chair was going to be the 125th celebration, which it was. And it was also, you know, NAMIC originated in Iowa with the Rutledge family, calling together a group. That's where the first organized gathering was. The actual first convention was in Chicago, but the first gathering was in Des Moines, held by the Rutledge family. So that was also part of the honor and part of the consideration that was kind of thrown at me, how neat it would be to have a guy from Iowa representing Iowa as chairman for the 125th celebration. So it was good. The year, as you said, and that was a video that I shared with Jenny because it could go to the Iowa Association just as Illinois, trying to think of some different things to do when we're all tired of this stuff, you know, this virtual stuff. And so trying to come up with something different on the thought process is what led me to the Field of Dreams. Plus, it was a nice day and took a road trip and a drive. And what was quite comical for me, I didn't anticipate when you put on a blazer, a white shirt, set up a camera with your cell phone on it in the outfield at Field of Dreams, people tend to kind of wander over your way and they wonder what's going on. I had to tell them a couple groups, I'm just a guy from Iowa, just shooting a video for work. Actually went and sat in the outfield for a couple hours just to let the crowd diminish on that fine Sunday afternoon. The place still draws. I counted so many people. I counted over 50 cars in the parking lot that day. And the common denominator is if somebody's driving across Interstate 80 in Iowa, they want to see the Field of Dreams, they will make a couple-hour road trip north and stop by the Field of Dreams. And they do charge $20, just as a little girl said in the movie, and which was a fun exchange for me because when I drove in there, and I was in the Corvette with the top off, and it was an elderly gentleman. He said, it's $20. I said, if I come back to shoot another video at some point in time, if this goes well, you know, is it like a week pass, season pass? And the old gentleman looked at me, he said, if you're going to ask that question, said, don't come back in the Corvette. He said, so we had a good exchange. You know, there's great people in Iowa. So for me to recap a year, it changed as it did for everybody, for all of us in March. And quickly when we're challenged like that, it is leadership. So my role went from going to different states association to virtual meetings and teleconferences. And I even logged some of my teleconferences that after COVID, I was involved in 21 different teleconferences. A lot of it was incorporating direction for NAMIC for the business interruption insurance. There was a huge concern early, and NAMIC really stepped up to the plate. I was quite moved by them, by their ownership of that watching all the states across the country. The fear was that if we lost in one area, and we recognized the challenges that the restaurant industry and the businesses were going through. If we lost a lawsuit that where an insurance carrier was going to be asked to pay for something that they didn't have on the policy, it's a huge concern as far as setting what kind of message was that going to send across our country. So for me, that was a big one, and for us, and I enjoy all these little quotes and stuff, but as I share with NAMIC staff and members, that the attitude of leaders, the attitude of our leadership will determine the attitude of those that we are leading and following. NAMIC has, and through the CCP trip, has become a resource for representatives and senators. And so the work that's been done in the past served us very well this year. We had a teleconference with directors from the NAIC, National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and looking for direction from there. And quite honestly, we were not on the same page when we talked, and we even got into business diversification. Credit scoring, is that no longer, that was gonna be challenged in their viewpoint because it wasn't diversified enough. And some very, very high level meetings for your safety and mine. There's a lot of those meetings. I will tell you that I opened them, started them, and said very little because we all have to recognize our gifts and talents. And when you're surrounded with quality people, as I was with the NAMIC people, it was very easy for me to turn it over to them and utilize their expertise and the work that they have done in the trenches for us. You know, the year, it should have been a little bit of a heads up, my start of the year, because I became chairman in National Harbor, and which was a lot of fun. Drove home from Chicago because of a thunderstorm. When all the flights were canceled, couldn't get back to Iowa, rented a car and drove back. My first trip was in October to Austin, Texas. Kind of the same thing. I flew out on a Sunday night at 7:30. I was supposed to land in Dallas, then head on to Austin, changing flights in Dallas, connecting and landing in Austin. I think it was 9 o'clock, 10 in the morning, or 10 at night, I'm sorry. And so anyway, everything was lined up great except for tornado activity in the area. We circled. Finally, we landed in Dallas. Everything was canceled. And if you heard my speech, my virtual speech, ended up, again, renting a car and driving to Austin, Texas through the middle of the night with the second round of tornadoes coming in the area, which was quite unsettling. So I did like everybody does. When we don't know where we're at, it's dark and you get a storm around you, you just drive faster. Literally knocked on the door of the hotel at 3:15 in the morning, and because they lock the doors after 2 o'clock. And as I took claim for being the first NAMIC chairman to ever attempt to rent a room by the hour, because I only needed it for 3 hours, as I told the desk clerk. And again, a nice conversation. That's one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed about this year was all the people that have come to know and meet. And they don't rent, as she said, you know, we don't do that here, as she said to me, the clerk did. And so anyway, visited with the folks in Texas, and I was tired. And honestly, it was my first trip without Pam as chairman. This was something, one of the last things on the radar or the calendar, so to speak, that when I was asked, we agreed to do this together and be the best version of us, is the terminology that we use. So since the flight hadn't gone and I was going to walk the streets of Austin for a few days, I spoke and visited and had lunch with the Texas people. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go home. And so we drove to the airport. I got on a connecting flight, flight right back to Iowa. The gal was so nice. You hear people in airports and just explain the situation, you know, last night and I had to rent a car, drive. And the gal, she's talking to me, making small talk. Next thing you know, she's handing me a boarding pass. And she said, we can get you back to Iowa tonight. So landed back in Iowa at 6:30 on Monday night. So I was gone on my first trip for 23 and a half hours with 3 hours of sleep. So I thought, wow, this is going to be quite something as the year goes on. But again, Missouri, and we had the Iowa convention. Those all went well. Then finished up, you know, with in DC, we had board meetings for NAMIC in Indianapolis in December. And from there, I was asked to fly on to Virginia for the Assurance Society of Virginia, their 225th, which was a wonderful celebration. You know, it's kind of odd how Jeff Warble is the manager there, and I had met Jeff the year before at a meeting for NAMIC. And Jeff invited me, and I told him, you know, we have other representatives from NAMIC closer, and threw out a few names, and Jeff just said, no, we want you. We want the chairperson, and we want somebody from Iowa. And so did you know, how that stuff all goes. Things line up very well. Board meeting for NAMIC in Indianapolis, spoke to the Indiana convention on Friday. Saturday afternoon, I flew to Virginia, attended their reception and meeting on that Saturday night, and met some great people, some good friends, and flew back home on Sunday. It was all worth it. Jeff is the one, you know, he when they were talking about their 225th, and this was kind of my message this year, that we can't become irrelevant when our work is focused around taking care of people. And Jeff had added on the website, it even says caringly taking care of people. And so the philosophy of the Mutual Insurance Association is something I was very honored to represent and be associated with. You know, went on from there, as I said earlier, a number of different teleconference and meetings, and then it was Minot, North Dakota. That one was interesting. It was a great weekend. It really was, because I had the Minnesota State Convention, was supposed to be up there on Sunday night for reception, speak on Monday morning. That was when the snowstorm hit Rochester, about 10 inches, sat in between a band of snow in between me and Minneapolis. I called up there and the hotel, and some of the people said, do not drive, don't drive. So strangely enough, we think out of the box. I drove to Cedar Rapids, jumped on a plane and flew to Minneapolis, because Minneapolis Airport was okay, and did the convention, spoke on Monday. Monday afternoon, got on an airplane to DC for a PAC meeting, and PAC reception on Monday night in DC. And then on Tuesday, it was PAC board meeting. And then Shannon was the one that put this is how this all came together. She sent me the itinerary. She said, you can get to Minot from DC. It's just really going to suck. It's what her email said, to use Shannon's words. So did the PAC board meeting, jumped on a plane, flew back to Minneapolis, caught a connecting flight to Minot, North Dakota, landed at 12:15 in the morning, and spoke around 10:30 that next morning. So those are some of the, you get a little road weary on some of that stuff, but again, being associated and surrounded by quality people is something that I think when you talk to anybody that has done something such as this, you do get a little road weary, but you certainly don't get tired of the conversations and the relationships that you make and build. You know, for me, it was very intimidating. I'm not afraid to say that, to sit, you know, the board is composed of 19 individuals. And, you know, when you're a mutual from Iowa, you know, you're much smaller in the realm. They actually, what I learned very quickly is that the CEOs of the larger companies are quite, when they come and visit Iowa and our conventions, they always are just mystified by how we do what we do, how many different hats that we wear, and how we're involved in the investments, the claims, the HR, all the different things that we do. So there's a lot of respect out there. And that's thoroughly what I enjoyed about NAMIC. It's just across the board. You could sit at a table with the large companies and we all face the same challenges. We're all doing the same work as mutual insurance companies. For me, I can't emphasize enough. Thinking out of the box a little bit, and you know that we're going through a transition with NAMIC. Chuck's retirement, just to give you an update on that, has been delayed. Really, it's really twofold was the thought process. One is we couldn't do in-person interviews and really wanted to do that. You can do a lot with Zoom, but the search committee is from members all across the country. Having them travel in was going to be a challenge. The main reason, and this is where I really respect Chuck for him delaying his retirement, was the challenges that our industry faced. And with the respect that is held by his office and Jimmy and Neil and all the, you know, I could just go on and list all the names, Aaron and so many different people that are involved. That leadership and the establishment of it is so well respected. We really didn't want to break that up. And Chuck understood that was going to be pose a threat to our industry. And that was really, for me, that was the main reason, because as chairman, I was the one that had to have these discussions with him. Okay, here's what we're faced. What's the best scenario? What's our best way out with this? And of course, then I take it to boards and to committees to get approval and make those final decisions. So we're hoping, based upon the COVID environment, really, and if we can get back to doing some interviews, that we will have somebody in place late spring, early summer. And it's very possible. The original plan was to have Chuck retire at convention this year. That might happen at convention next year, or it will happen this summer, based upon how we fill the position. So we're in a good place. Solid ground is where I like to be. You know, as I told Chuck, that there's a Churchill quote that came to mind in a conversation, and I said, Churchill, you know, the great leaders are willing to ask for help. So here I am. I'm asking for help. We need some direction. Here's some of my thoughts. I'm willing to share my thoughts, which I certainly did. But it was, I said, imagine Churchill calling Roosevelt in his darkest hour, hey, we need some help. And so for us as leaders, you know, we're all the good old August 10th gave all of us a lot of challenges on here. I haven't been on many of these because of the challenges that our office is facing, working the claims for our insureds. It's why people buy what we're selling. We're making the best and doing the best that we can to service them. But as leaders, we have to understand that and make some tough choices. And then as we need to take responsibility for those. It was pretty heavy for me to ask somebody to delay their retirement, because I told them, if you came to me in a few years and asked me to delay my retirement, I might not be so willing to do that. I'm going to stop for a little bit if there's questions. At this point in time, I don't know how you do this, Jenny, if they type them into you through your chat, or if somebody just wants to raise their hand or unmute your mic and pop in, I'd certainly be willing to stop talking for a little bit and entertain any questions that there are.
Given my experience, I think people can just push down the space bar and ask a question. And please identify yourself, because depending on the view you have, we may not be able to see you. Well, I'll ask a frivolous question. This is Jenny Legates. Where'd you get that great hair and beard for the second video?
Yeah, that is my grandsons. They like to have themed birthday parties. And so that is a character, if there's any Harry Potter fans out there, that is the gentle giant kind of hair that, that's where that came from.
That's Hagrid.
Pardon me, say it again, Jason.
That's Hagrid.
There you go, that's Hagrid. That is who it is. They knew right away. So when you drive through downtown Waverly in your car with that wig and sunglasses on, you get a lot of looks. So I've had a lot of fun with that. And then it just turned into, I had to have some fun with the NAMIC folks out there.
I was thinking Sasquatch, maybe.
I'm sorry, say again, Angie.
I was thinking Sasquatch.
Oh yeah, no, not quite, not quite. No, it was fun. Grandkids are wonderful, as many of you know. Any other questions? Well, I'm going to continue on my spiel. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm just curious if you could share a little bit more information with how the derecho affected your mutual. I'm in Northwest Iowa. We were fortunate enough to miss that. I haven't been involved in any of the discussions about how dramatic the impact was for your mutual. Can you share a little bit of that, Randy? Is that okay?
Yeah, you know, without getting into real specific numbers, we're not heavily concentrated down there. The challenge of it for us is being a statewide mutual is that we had damage ranging from Ankeny into Marion and Cedar Rapids. And you could say scattered damage, but I'd like to think we're not going to exceed 5 million for being fairly sparsely populated in that area, but we're going to hit 5 million of losses as to where we're at. 400 plus claims. Well, I should say we're right at 500 claims right now from that August 10th storm. You know, that was to me on this one was the biggest challenge, the unknown, because then it was wind and we knew it was obviously severe. And we ran zip codes, but there was significant damage, obviously, to the farming community was where we incurred, of course, our biggest losses. But only in Iowa can you have, Jason, can you have a good old red barn, Iowa barn, blow across the road and knock a good old salt box 2-story farmhouse off its foundation. You know, it just, you think you get, you know, what hit your house? A barn. It's an incredible, it's just incredible. So it was, and I think we've heard, you know, it was historic. We've heard that many, many times. And the losses, you know, that Grinnell and the reinsurance incurred are well above anything that we've experienced before. The challenge is because it was so widespread, you know, tornadoes fairly concentrated and the damage alongside them. And with this one being so widespread, it really, normally you can bring in outside restoration companies from an area, but the restoration companies and contractors, still today, everybody is, everybody's challenged to get it done, to get the work done. That's going to be, and then the severity of it, and yeah. And then good old Mike Jonke, past mentor and friend, I'll use one of his. It's like right now we have some storm chasers in, and I'm just going to cautiously say that we're having to kick some hogs away from the trough, and that's not an easy thing to do. And Johnky would say that, that, yeah, we're kicking hogs away from the trough. And that's a little bit where we're at. For us coming out of this, in fact, I had sat and had a meeting before this and have spoken with reinsurers, of course, what are we going to incorporate and come out of this better? What can we do better to prepare ourselves for the frequency and the enormity of some of these storms? And I feel good about that. We already have some discussions and things that we're looking at doing that will help us walk through this before. Yeah, any other thoughts, or if anybody wants to share about their experience with the storms? I know we're all facing the same challenges.
Randy, this is John Paul. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, gotcha, John.
Maybe just a comment. Thank you for stepping up into this position of leadership for our national association representing Iowa and all the mutuals. And you've had much on your plate and just a lot of things that have taken place. Anyway, there's a plan for all of us, and I appreciate how you've approached things and how you've managed things and some of that resilience. But prayers for you to keep moving along every day and hold up. And you're just a good man. And thank you, Charlie Brown.
Thanks, John. Yep, thank you. And I uploaded a picture that I took from, if you've ever been in the NAMIC offices, and it's from a window inside the office looking out. One of the nice things that they do, you can see the good old American flag there. Our Canada friends, we always represent them every year, but then there's an Iowa flag that flies whatever state the chairman is from, they fly that state flag for the year that they're chairman. So it's always nice, the times when I pulled up there to see the good old Iowa flag, just a good feeling. So I snapped a picture of that when I was there this past year to shoot the virtual convention, which I was the only one there, so somehow statistically I should hold some kind of record because of the new consecutive in-person attendance to NAMIC events. It was a very strange feeling walking into pretty much an empty office, camera crews, trying to talk just like this, trying to talk into probably a 6x8 camera lens and not read the script. They kept telling you, we want you to be you, but as you read, the script rolls right through the lens. And I said, well, then shut the words off. Oh, no, that's NAMIC and it's their show. They want you to follow script as much as what you can, and that's a good thing. But it's a very foreign concept versus just standing out and having an in-person meeting where we can read each other's body language and talk to one another. And we'll get back there, is how I look. We're going to learn coming out of this to operate, I believe, more efficiency. We'll continue. These are great meetings, and I give you just a lot of credit, Jenny, to coming up with this idea and Brian picking up on it, and that because we need to continue to connect and draw from others. I believe that we'll continue to do this. I was on 9 committees for NAMIC as chairman. And when you're on 9 committees, you can't do all the in-person events. It's impossible. So teleconferences will become more virtual conferences. I think it will improve how we operate. But also, NAMIC is really looking CEO roundtables after the start of the year, those potentially will be our first in-person and maybe a hybrid type meeting based upon where COVID's at. So we are hopeful for that. And those are, I think the end of March is when those are. So we'll see what next year comes, but we are not holding any in-person meetings through the end of the year at this point in time, whether board meeting in Indianapolis is going to be virtual. So we'll miss out on those in-person trips. Trying to think. Go ahead and ask any questions. I'll look at some notes. I did jot down some notes here, and
Hey, Randy, it's Dave Wingert.
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, Randy, it's been a strange year for you in that chairman role, but what will you miss most when when your role is done?
Yeah, well, it is kind of strange, and I alluded to it. My first thought would be in how you connect with individuals. I'll miss that. Because last year, Henry Gibble, the former chairman, couldn't make it to the Virginia State Association meeting. So I went to Virginia, went on to Jamestown, and then honestly extended it to Virginia Beach. And but that and a committee meeting is where I first met Jeff Warble and some of the people from Virginia. And I was really looking forward to this year. Then Virginia and Pennsylvania, we're going to combine they do that every so many years, combine their state association meeting. So what I'll miss is being able to gather with those people that I've talked to on the phone, that we email now, just to get back and meet with them. Just because it was so striking to me when you walk into a room and you don't know anybody, so you're kind of the outsider. And then after a couple hours or a day or two spending some time with people, that you have established friendships that don't go away. And that's what I'll miss. And I know that I will get together with them again at some point in time, but I really would have liked to finish my year and kind of celebrating all those new friendships and relationships that I made over the course of these past 2 years.
Randy, this is Jeff Maneri, and I had one question and then one deal I'd like to strike with you. First of all, for the question, and don't answer until I give you the deal though. For the question, I'm just curious at the support. I'd like to hear about the support that you received. I assume you received from the staff at First Maxville and your board. And not only just during this period of time as a chairperson, but as you've gone through the various roles at NAMIC, and of course, continuing on for next year. And then speaking of next year, what I'd like to share with you, since you had so many of your trips cut short, and you will next year be the person that has attended NAMIC for 2 straight years, the only one. There's very few chairmen that go to North Dakota, and I don't think they've ever had an immediate past chair there. And so if you agree to go to Fargo next year, we'll make sure that we take care of all of your airfare. It'll be in February again. So just strike that deal if you'd like to take it.
That's a fine offer, Jeffrey, and I appreciate that. But, you're not quite close, because the biggest heartbreak for me was, honestly, I was going to spend 2 weeks in Spain in May at the European conference. And, when somebody else is flying you over there in a 3-day conference, quite honestly, and one is I was looking forward to Spain. I enjoy a nice glass of wine, but to sit down with people and leaders in the European conference and discuss what we do in our work, to me, it was very, very intriguing. And I missed that. That got delayed till October, postponed till October. And now they're just, everything is so messed up, and I'm not willing to travel abroad at this point in time anyway. But Jeff, the Fargo, North Dakota, while tempting, as soon as I can, I'm going someplace else. Let's just go with that.
Well, we'd like to send you someplace else as well, but our budget just says Fargo's as far as we can go, Larry. Excuse me, Randy, Fargo's as far as we can go.
Well, yeah, I'm okay, Jeff, because I was, I puckered up a little bit. I thought, oh crap, Jeff's going to try to renegotiate my reinsurance contract in front of all these people, and that's not going to go well. So I appreciate that. The amount of time, and that is something with the board and the staff, and you mentioned that we really have to add staff on. My staff was disappointed too that I wasn't traveling so much, because I was around the office a lot more than they anticipated. For them, that was really, they were quite okay. Like today, I'm back at home. I was in the office this morning, I've got a couple of things I need to take care of, and I can focus here and do this so I'm not interrupted, and a couple other things that I'm working on. But I had to tell my board, you know, I'm looking at out of the office working days. I would anticipate 40 to 44 days of meeting time. You know, a lot of the events, just like Iowa, you travel on a Sunday, so you know you really are kind of signing away your life. I hate to use that terminology because you're getting so much back. But the focus for me this year in accepting this position was that, okay, this is going to be the focus of what I do for a year. Now, you know, there were a lot of wonderful trips in there. You know, Montana got canceled. I was supposed to go out to Montana. I had a lot of, you know, and I did. I extended the Virginia one, went to Jamestown, went to Virginia Beach. It was really easy to extend the trips. So you know, and I've said that, and we all need to do that. We make the best of what comes our way. And so don't miss out when there are opportunities that come our way, even in these challenging times. I fully believe that. So for me, it also, and I'll be honest with you, this is when I told the board this, that this is part of my transitioning period, that I'll retire in a few years. That hasn't been etched in stone yet. It'll be more in a few, but it's going to be 3 to 4 years, very possibly. So we put people in place, and I empowered them, and they've stepped up and done very well. Typically with NAMIC, and that has been very typical with leaders, that they will share that the mutual that they represent, it was one of their finest years when they were going out of the office. And I think that's an important message for all of us. We all know that sometimes is to, if we can empower others. I have an intern. We just started an intern from University of Northern Iowa, Courtney, and I've had her sit in with meetings on already, and some of the things that I've been involved with. And, you know, it's going to be fun. I look forward to seeing what she brings to the table, as I say. And I think that's what it's all about, is making those, surrounding yourself with quality people, and then empowering other people to be at the best level of them, best version of them. I'll shut up for a minute or two. I see we got just a few minutes left. And Jenny, we'll just cut off here in a little bit. Guys, you've heard me talk before. You don't need to hear me keep rambling all afternoon.
Yes, we do try to be respectful of people's times, and we are at 1:48. So if there's any final question for Randy. I have recorded this session and we'll be sending the link out later this afternoon so that you can see the funny videos again. So thank you so much, Randy. Stay tuned. Look forward to see what we will be bringing you next week. That invitation will come out in the next day or so. So thank you for your time, and thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks, Randy.
You bet. Thank you.